What's up, exiles? It's Hegemony, and today I wanted to share my most prized possession, the Wukong era. And it's also been known in the past as the Immortal Wukong. And I'll give you a rundown of why it's called that. The build is based off of an Immortal call, and also using Val Immortal call, and using a staff. There's an ancient Chinese folklore. Wukong fighter is notorious for being a Chinese monkey fighter, and I do use leap slam. There are variations where you can use ground slam, spectral throw, things like that, but I thought it was very fitting for this particular character. This guy recently died, level 89 on Beyond League, due to not purging a conductivity curse. As you can see, the lightning resistance is just over cap, and whenever I take conductivity or LE weak, the lightning resistance goes down drastically. And I took a spike in storm calls because I tried to face tank the exile. You know, I didn't even know that she casted conductivity, but I paid for it by not rolling over the not checking my debuffs and not removing the curse accordingly. Overall, it's been the most fun character I've played. It's specifically designed for the staff that I created. But I'm going to go over some of the concepts, some of the benefits and cons, and some of the mechanics that go behind this character. I definitely chose duelist because I thought it was the best. It's the best starting area, in my opinion, for a two-handed staff. It's a very short travel to get out, and then you get into all the meat of what makes a staff build so special. And ultimately it came down to the first few starting nodes. The duelist triangle right here is just so godly in its ability to give you resources, everything that you need up front. So leveling was very simple. I leveled with the Pillar of the Cage God. If you want to know more about the pillar setup, you can just check out my pillar videos or my duelist sweeper, also known as the janitor. You can check those out on my other build guides. But I generally just leveled up as pillar with Mega Nords, Carnage Heart, Slither Pinch, Line Eye Pause, the Wombo combos. Okay, so let's talk about this character's defensive skills. Alright, so passively I have 1600 armor, which is pretty abysmal when it comes to high-end mapping. It's almost like an armorless character. We have 13% passive physical reduction. We have 1500 evasion. I have a 16% chance to evade, so that's still really good. It's guaranteed evasion. Energy shield is negligible. The life regen is 181 right now passively, but with endurance charges I believe it gets to 252. Let's go check that out right now real quick. We'll just go into docs and pop open 11 quick endurance charges. Oh, I just killed everything in a leap slam. Alright, so we have 7 endurance charges, which gives me 254 life regen per second. All this gear is unaltered by the gear that I got from Beyond, despite it, dying one time. It is now on standard because of the death. I did not change any of the gear other than I 6-linked this staff for science. But everything else that you see on here is linked down below in the thread. Also, the build guide or the skill tree is also linked below. Let's continue with our defenses. Now, I did say I have 13% passive physical mitigation, but with max endurance charges, I have 41%. So even just walking around with endurance charges makes you quite tanky. You don't have to pop Immortal Call all the time. This is a misconception that a lot of people have. Alright, going on with the resistances, I do only have +1 to fire resist that I get from Barbarism over here on the left hand side next to Marauder. Marauder used to be loaded with a bunch of +1s, but since that has been removed and nerfed. I did not opt to get them or get these resist nodes, but you can get them early on to help the situation with your gear. Also, the Scion resist nodes here help you out, and if you need even more help, you can get Celestial Walker, which is 12 all res. So those areas are areas that you can spec into and spec out of, depending upon the demand with your current gear setup. Another defensive node or idea is the fact that I'm using Hatred, Herald of Ice, which freezes, shatters, and chills. That's also like a slowing effect similar to like Tem Chains. That also provides good defense. Being able to run up to a Void Bearer, leap into him, heavy strike him once, and he's perma-frozen, that helps a lot. Not to mention that I do have knockback and stuns built into my skills. So my sweep has a 38% chance to knock back, keeping some scary melee mobs at bay, preventing them from even getting the initial hit. And then my heavy strike has built-in stun and knockback. So it does help some in regards of CCing. The Val Immortal Call is an on-demand cooldown where I can, similarly charge up 7 endurance charges and then spend it. And since it's on the same 4 link with increased duration, enhance, those are the links it's sharing with Immortal Call. I can cast either one. However, Val Immortal Call takes 96 souls to fill. It's quite expensive and merciless. It's much less in other zones, but I don't feel like you need it in other zones. We're going to see some of the benefits of Val Immortal Call, Val Molten Shell, and how to utilize these particular skills with this build. Alright, and as far as mobility goes, I don't really rely on the Sprint Flask. I use a Leap Slam with fast attacks, and I personally feel in order to increase your mobility, your faster attacks that is the highest level of the highest quality should go to your Leap Slam. It's going to make the character feel much more fluid and be able to run around and clear faster. So you'll notice oh, actually these were corrupted ones, but your best Leap Slam should go on your best faster attacks should go on your Leap Slam. And as far as the flask, this is Rumi's concoction. Gives me 3,000 armor and 34% attack block, up to 40 and up to 20% spell block. So this is a perfect spell block roll. If we look at my block chance, I'm getting 37% passive block. When I pop a Rumi's concoction, 71, which would, if this was a 38% Rumi's concoction, I would be block capped, 75. And then the 20% spell block is also very nice. Movement speed, nothing special, got 17% using a lightning coil. That's another part of my defense. Now there's a debate, why do you use lightning coil? This is the most asked question. You are physically immune all the time. Well, that's not true. There are very few times where I do not have Immortal Call or endurance charges. When you run around, especially more commonly in a totems with turbo map, you get really fast mobs, or with turbo hasted mobs. So you can get charged by bone roas, shield chargers. You can get leapt on by frogs. They just move ridiculously fast. Not to mention underground crabbies that have fizz reflect. You're just leaping around doing your normal thing, and then all of a sudden there's like a dozen crabs with fizz reflect. This helps the surprise, the element of, oh, this is too fast to react. So that is why I choose lightning coil, because I'm pretty much considered an armorless character. So it gives me room for error, human error, and it also gives me room for that RNG when the stars align with certain crappy mods and the mobs just move too fast for me to, do my general self-cat or my echoing enduring cry and then my immortal call. I mean, it doesn't take much effort to do this. It's very fast, but there are still going to be those situations, and when you play in a hardcore league, you need to be prepared for anything, because God forbid you're just waiting for that to happen. It will happen at some point, especially if you're going for like 95 plus. It's just a matter of time that will happen to you. So I highly recommend using lightning coil with this build. It gives you pseudo armor, exchanges a portion of the physical damage you would take by 40%, and it calculates that against your lightning resistance. In my case, it's 75%. So 75% of 40% is mitigated like pseudo armor. Lightning coil has a big downside with it being 60 lightning resistance, in the negative at a deficit. So you have to make up for that. I just chose, heavily, strong lightning resistance pieces to combat that. I don't have to run Purity of Lightning because my gear has enough lightning resistance to compensate and overcome that deficit. Moving along, I have another thing that people ask me all the time is why sweep over ground slam? And the biggest reason is because sweep has that inherent knockback on the gem, 38%. This gives me the ability to leap into a pack and then sweep 360, and about a size that's about this big. Ground slam with a multi-strike, if I were to leap in the middle of a pack, it's more of a sporadic, picks an angle and attacks a mob, so it's not confined. Ground slam has more tooltip DPS and it provides a stun, but it doesn't have a knockback. The only time I get a knockback with ground slam is when I crit, because if I have this node right here, blunt trauma, crit with the staff and you get a knockback. So can I build up power charges with my staff? Yes, you can, but it's not as consistent as sweep. Not to mention heavy strike is always a knockback. Since you're getting that knockback, you probably have a very high chance of getting your power charges, but this build was meant for, sweep. You can use ground slam. You just have to play differently. When you're playing with ground slam, you need to funnel your mobs into one area to give you that more concentrated feel, where your ground slams are going in the same direction, pounding on the same mobs. Whereas sweep, you can get really sloppy. Just go immune, go into a middle pack, and just go to town and kill everything around you. It's got less tooltip, but better power charge generation, and gives you that a little bit extra safety against some scarier mobs, pushing them away, because I can hit them way further than they can hit me. So that is another benefit of sweeping. So in my links, I have melee physical, increased critical damage, which is probably the most important damage support gem. This increases my damage by a lot. Faster attacks, multi-strike, and sweep, and increase AoE. Increase AoE is the 6th link in this setup. I will show you with ground slam what it looks like in docs. So going back to what I was saying about being more concentrated. See, ground slam, if you leap in the middle of a pack, it's going to pick the direction and it's not confined. But if you funnel all your mobs into one area, the ground slam will go in the same direction. And just pay attention to my power charge generation. Alright, I got 5 power charges. My ground slam is at 34.2. Pretty good. It's not a bad ability, but I would definitely not recommend ground slam until you get to the point of getting all the stave crit nodes and the two-handed crit nodes, because you're going to rely on that crit chance to get you that knockback, which will give you power charges in order to skip power charge on crit. Now when I switch it to sweep, I can leap anywhere pretty much and get into the combat really easily, and the knockback is much more consistent, and the power charge generation is much more consistent. Alright, so right now it's just trolling me, but if you move at a very fast rate, you pretty much bypass the need of using power charge on crit. Picking up tools on the left hand side like this, power charge duration, will definitely increase your reliability to generate these charges. So I'm going to do a couple of maps where I can show you some of the tips and tricks of what you can do to make this build even more powerful, and how you can use different skills to take down different encounters, and to help explain why it's called, you know, Immortal Wukong. Alright, so let's go. I have a pre-rolled crematorium that I've been killing because I want to show you guys one kind of scary way to take down Megara with this build, despite it having, you know, little to no fire resist. 76% is nothing to write home about. I'm not using Purity of Fire. All my auras are damage dealing auras, but I do get a slow. So this is a 76 map. 4 charges gave me 12-second Immortal Call. A 7 charge Immortal Call gives me 21. And as you can see, it was as simple as that. It was 1 global to get max charges. So I can keep doing this over and over again indefinitely. A 2 charge endurance charge will give me enough, more than enough. Okay, here's 2 charges. It gave me over a 7-second Immortal Call. Enduring Cry is on a 4-second cooldown, so I can keep this physical immunity up forever, as long as I have a mob. And at least 1 mob is going to give me 2 charges, since I can echo off of it. The only times you won't get the endurance charge is if you're LOS and things like that. So I have Val Immortal Call ready to go, pre-charged. And I also have the Val Molten Shell pre-charged. So I have 2 Val skills ready to go for this boss. Now it's going to look kind of scary because Val Immortal Call does not mitigate damage, but it prevents you from dying. So if you're taking a lot of damage that you cannot control, it'll keep you at 1 HP, which is what I'm planning to do. This is a double boss Crema. So I'm going to go into the room and pop, or I'm going to generate charges off the trash inside. And then I'm going to enfeeble both bosses, pop Val Molten Shell, and I'm going to go to town on them. I'm going to be at 1 health because they're going to do way more damage than I can inflict. Or than I can heal, sorry. Mitigate and heal. But I won't be able to die so long as Val Immortal Call is up. So the reason why Immortal Call lasts so long is because of increased duration and because of the quality. Immortal Call is one of the unique gems that the quality does nearly the same as the level. So if we go look at the wiki, I'll show you guys real quick. Immortal Call. The quality on Immortal Call does 0.01 base seconds. And if you notice, it's 0.01 per level. With every couple levels it skips. It goes up 2. So you get 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's why the quality is unique to this gem, where it does almost the same as the level. Very, very important to get a quality Immortal Call. And the only way you can get a quality Val Immortal Call is if you get a box that drops a gem and that puts the quality on it with, you know, whatever. You can't GCP a Val Immortal Call, and then when you get it to 20%, you can go ahead and corrupt it. Even at level 1, it's okay if you're going on the full purpose of it being Valed, because you can still level it up to 20. So 20. I don't have one that's already 20. Well, actually, I do. This one is 2020. I did end up valing a 2020 regular Immortal Call, and it did switch it to Val. And then it's enhanced by Enhance, which gives it 16% more quality. So imagine your Immortal Call being essentially a level 56, because this essentially is like a level 40 gem plus adding 16. And then imagine if you used a level 4 Enhance, that would be 24%. And then if your boots were +1, or if you had gloves or whatever slot it is that gives you +1 to gems, you would have a level 5 Enhance, giving you a 32% quality, which would make both Val Immortal Call and Immortal Call even longer. So you can get this to be pretty insane as far as, you know, duration wise. I do have both the duration nodes right here, skill durations. This one has always existed like this. It used to be 15, 15, 15. This one used to be skill only. This one used to be buff and debuff. But now they're both the same. Skill effect duration, skill effect duration. pick up both of these nodes, pick up the quality Immortal Call, quality increased duration, and you'll have the same setup that I do, and the enhance, obviously. So we go around generating charges, very easy. It's just a constant upkeep and paying attention to your buffs, knowing what type of damage each mob does. If I know I'm going into a group of spellcasters, there's no point in popping Immortal Call unless they do EK or something like that, or physical spell, or if I'm anticipating beyond mob spawning. So you can just run around with 7 charges and get your amplified health regen instead. That would be the trade-off. I always use Leap Slam to leap out. Some people say that's a bit YOLO, but I'm used to it. I've learned my lesson, a couple mistakes where I chose the wrong area to leap into, and there was some kind of obstructable, and then I got frozen. Now the way I handle boxes that have frozen on it is I'll usually go around and I'll try to feed myself on mobs that are nearby so that I can Immortal Call and then just click it. So I'll just stay there fully frozen, but I'll have immunity. You don't want to do this with Ice Nova or Lightning Storm. So anything that's non-magic based or that Poison Nova, I would probably not open that with this method. But some boxes with just freeze, yeah, go ahead and pop Immortal Call off of a trash mob nearby. Open the box, stay frozen. If it's scary magic mobs, just lock out instantly. That's what I would advise. Okay, so in this case, I am going to use a combination of both Val Immortal Call and Val Molten Shell. Now, she does do a lot of damage, so that does not prevent the stun. I do not have Unwavering Stance. But if I do enfeeble her and I use a Fire Flask, I can get some freedom into bashing into her while the Firestorm is on me and I'm at 1 HP. So I'm going to deal with using Molten Shell to give that rapid hit and get that extra damage with that Firestorm that she's putting on me. And I'm going to use Val Immortal Call so that I don't die. So the method about doing this is try to pull our trash from the stairs right here and try to feed off of endurance charges that way. Don't aggro her right away. You got to get those endurance charges early. So I hear a bunch of golems running around. Okay, so this guy is going to give me charges. I got 2. And because Val Molten Shell is tied to increased duration, I'm going to get a really long Val Molten Shell too. Alright, so I got 7 charges. It's time to go in. So you're going to notice my health is going to drop like crazily. Megara's dropping too. I have about 6 more seconds to take her out. It's not going to happen. Almost. But you can see, you know, imagine if I did that a little bit better, I could have gotten both of them dead. But in that case, I didn't finish her. In Academy, it's much easier because I don't get that stun lock. It all depends on breaking that initial Firestorm. And if I had this 8th charge right here, Vigor, which is only 3 points away, I could get a longer Immortal Call with that, getting 8 charges, about 26 seconds of that if this was properly hooked up with an enhance. Probably a little bit longer if this was a level 4 enhance or level 5 enhance. Okay, so now I'm going to do an Academy with double boss, and we're going to take both of those bosses out. Since Academy does pure tornado damage, that's all physical, unless you get the map mod added lightning, added cold, and added fire. Those will actually penetrate your Immortal Call because the physical will scale and convert to elemental. So you want to be careful with that. So I'm going to go ahead and use both Ground Slam and Sweep so you guys can get a proper assessment of which one you like best. You can use Glacial Hammer, you can use Infernal Blow. The reason why I don't recommend Infernal Blow is because when you do run into LE Reflect packs, You cannot dodge it, you cannot evade it, you cannot block it. That reflect from Infernal Blow can only be mitigated through pure fire resistance. So when you do run into like a big hefty magic pack with a lot of life and then you get Ellie reflected with Infernal Blow, there's no way to mitigate it. With a heavy strike and sweep, spectral throw, all those other things that just do physical damage, the majority of the reflect damage from elemental is negligible, and you reflect, I mean, you're immune to your own reflect with Immortal Call. So on the physical end, it does hurt when you get double reflect. Like if you roll an Ellie weak, or not Ellie reflect map with Ellie reflect pack, you will feel it, but it won't be like one-shotty. If you run into a map with like 30 mobs in one pack, you will see a couple of flutters in your HP, but it's not all too bad, to be honest. I mean, because you're running double heralds with hatred, so it's only natural that you're going to feel some of it. Alright, so I'm going to use Val Immortal Call. There's not many uses for this. I find the scary or beyond bosses, this is a good tool to use. And you can usually take them down in one-man HP before they, come to kill you. And if you have to, you can go around the map and refill this and then revisit it. So say you get like the boss to 50% HP, go leave him alone, go fill up again, and then do it again and finish him off without the worry of without the concern of dying. So for the most part, in this particular map, I'm just going to stick with just the Val Molten Shell. As soon as we get to the boss, I'll take him out very, very fast, very, very quick, because the nature of their thing. Now, Val Molten Shell is not something I would use regularly, because the way in Beyond, you can spawn 3 rare monsters and get Ellie Reflect. And Val Molten Shell, Ellie Reflect does hurt quite a bit. So you have to know that if you're fighting a lot of mobs, Val Molten Shell, Ellie Reflect is going to hurt. That's why I don't think I mean, it's very, very rampage friendly or softcore when you don't have that surprise of, hey, this is what reflect you have to deal with. Another variation that I used to run prior to me getting enhanced was using Leap Slam with Endurance charge on melee stun. That was on a 3-link with Blood Magic when my gear was not so good. But once you can afford level 3 enhance, I definitely would recommend you nix the Endurance charge on melee stun. But that was just an additional way to generate power charges. Now I can actually generate power charges through Leap Slam. Let's see if I can get it right here. I'm only using Leap Slam right now. There you go, power charge right there. And the reason being is Leap Slam has an inherent knockback, 24%, and then you have the blunt trauma again. So every time I crit with Leap Slam, I get a knockback, and that knockback synergizes with the staff again. 10% chance to gain a power charge if you knock an enemy back with melee damage. So everything that I use right now can build up power charges. My curse of choice is Enfeeble, because Enfeeble and Beyond, well, my weakness is magic monsters. Void Bearers particularly, and the Flame Surgers with Unrighteous Fire. Those guys also can get quite scary. And then the overall Chaos Degen auras, which Enfeeble takes care of. The reason why I don't like Fracture maps is because multiplying those Degen guys, well, it doesn't stack, but multiplying the Flame Surgers, the little, I don't know what they're called, but they look like little squids, flying squids, can get quite scary with, they already have that prerequisite AoE Righteous Fire burn. And then the Void Bearers, having them all breathe on you at the same time, after they fracture, can get scary. You can deal with Void Bearers, if you pull them to the side. However, a Shroud Walker Void Barrier is very stressful. What I used to do was I used to leap away from one and then try to separate them, and I would leap in and then freeze him. So I wouldn't take that much damage overall. You can also pop your Rumi's Concoction to get a little bit more spell block, even though it's just rapid hits, but at least 20% of it roughly on average would get blocked. But it's still a lot of hits. GMP is super scary with Void Bearers. Has no effects with the Flame Surgers because you can't GMP a Flame Surge. It's not a projectile. It's just a cast. Other than that, it seemed to handle everything else just perfectly fine. I had all the tools to deal with all the situations. You just have to play a little bit more careful. Damage is not really a problem. And Enfeeble with leeching and freezing and things like that took care of everything else. Alright, we're gonna find the boss's room eventually. But you can see how potent that area is. I'm gonna switch to Ground Slam, and I'm gonna play with my positioning slightly different. So this is an 1820 sweep, this is a 1420 Ground Slam. Okay. You can also use Heavy Strike Melee Splash, that's also very, very strong. That's guaranteed knockback. Probably even better power charge generation. But as you can see, it's not a lazy man's build because there's no automations. It's all self-cast. There's no cast on damage taken setup. You have to earn your mitigation, and you have to micromanage it. But you can see it's very, very powerful. Being physically immune covers a lot of different things. Those Flicker Striker guys, those guys were some of the easiest mobs to handle. Despite their Chaos Degen auras, I popped an Amethyst Flask, which is usually what I carried around in Beyond. Right now I'm carrying around a Fire Flask just because I did Megara. But prior to this, alright, here we're at the boss. I'm gonna swap back to Sweep. I'm going to siphon up charges from the trash mobs. And then I'm going to go Immortal Call, and then I'm going to pop Molten Shell. So usually the trash mobs are on the right. In this case, they're on the left. Alright, so I'm going to pop Immortal Call. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to kill both of these bosses very, very quickly. Whoa. Those freeze bosses. So the way Val Molten Shell works is that it triggers on every single hit. So you can see how those tornadoes, rapid tornadoes, are actually killing those bosses. So as long as you stay physically immune and you stay next to them, they're just going to kill themselves because they're going to keep spawning tornadoes on top of their bodies. That's one really, really powerful way. Okay, so now it's one-on-one. I actually didn't kill the guy. Doesn't matter. Two-shot. Go in. I don't take any damage. It's pure physical from this boss. The books are physical. The tornadoes are physical. The only time there's elemental damage is from the trash or from the Beyond monsters that may spawn in here. Probably not. And if there's a map mod that says added lightning, added cold, or added fire. Alright. So going over the gear, roughly how much it costs. The Era I paid 10 exalts for on Beyond on like the 3rd or 4th day that the league started. The 5 linking was, oh, it was brutal. It took me about, I want to say 60 jewelers to 6-socket it, and then it took me about, until I got my first 5 link on this, probably over 550. And then it took me another 25 exalts plus 800 fusings to 6-link it. The lightning coil I paid 2.5 exalts for, you know, very early. I know they're much cheaper now. To 5-link this, it took me over 400 fusings. It was pretty brutal, I mean, I was going for the 6. Lightning coil is an easy thing to color up on a 5-link. It's an awesome place to put Heavy Strike because getting greens is no problem. Getting greens on the staves is a big problem. But heavy strike, multi-strike, fast attacks, melee fizz, and crit damage. It's the same links except for AoE on sweep or ground slam, whichever you want to use. This helmet I think I paid 10 chaos for, and then I put mana on it because I do run everything off of mana. This necklace I paid 2 exalts for. It's like a really good neck. However, I would have preferred to have crit multiplier instead of either all resistance or life gain on hit. The life gain on hit is nice. It's instant leech, or it's instant health return. The mana or the life is good. The flat fizz is really nice. The leech is really nice. But I added critical strike chance on it, no problem. This ring I crafted myself with an alch, so it didn't cost me anything, and then I added Elrion's flat fizz, and this ring cost me 8 chaos, which I think was undersold, but it was extremely useful for what I had going on. I usually try to get accuracy on the rings, and I needed the dex, so I put dex as a suffix on this. This is a very low end dex character, 102. This would be, I think 108 is what I need to max out my green gems like fast attacks and things like that. But put me just over what I needed. I don't have any dex on my tree, you know, extra dex. I have some travel dex which I strategically put, like these 2 dex nodes there. That may be and then I have versatility that gives me dex here. If I absolutely needed more dex, I would get precision. This is a 10 accuracy, 20 dex node that I'm very close to, and then I could get agility, but I would probably pick up precision before I picked up agility. Okay, so going back to the gear, I paid 2 exalts, almost 2 exalts for this. It's just a +1 endurance charge. Very strong belt, gives me more life, tri-res. These boots I paid 15 chaos for, and then I put on 17% movement speed. I'm not sure how much that costs at the crafting vendor. It wasn't much, but it gives me strength, which is more life, and more melee fizz. Gives me life. The armor is good, and the 2 res are very strong. Overall, pretty damn good ring. These gloves I actually found. Armor and evasion, the amount is not really important. The important thing is that you have a lightning coil, and then you know, you're really good at micromanaging your cooldowns, because ultimately that's going to determine your fate. Any extra armor or evasion you get is just like it's exactly that. It's just extra, not necessary, but does give you more room for, you know, getting screwed. These are not 2 linked because there's mana multipliers with well, actually, let me look at this. Fast attacks links with leap slam that has no interaction with enduring cry and spell echo, so this actually could be linked now. Before there was a lot of swapping, but echo, enduring cry, it's must. This is like how you get and generate charges. The increased duration, enhance, immortal call, you just really need the increased duration and immortal call. Val Immortal Call and Val Molten Shell, those are all additional features you can put on, not a necessity. Enhance is also a luxury, not needed. Before that I was running like a 16-second Immortal Call before Enhance and before, you know, all this good gear. Hatred, reduced mana, Herald of Ash, Herald of Ice, that's just the standard aura slot. Other than that, I mean, it wasn't expensive despite, I guess, the staff costing 10x up front, and then the lightning coil, I guess, is the next big ticket item, trying to link them, socket them, and color them. Some map mods to avoid on Beyond is Fracture and additional proj. Again, it's because of the dogs and because of the flame surge squid looking things. Other than that, if you play this on Rampage, there's absolutely, like, Fracture should be a joke. Shouldn't give you any problem at all. Usually you're already mid multi-strike in a sweep, so as soon as they spawn, they die. But if you are desynced or not really where you say you are and something happens, that's when it can get pretty nasty. So I will make a legacy version. I will do some switching around of the gear and just to see what damage potential we can get from it. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you the damage numbers. You guys are probably curious on that. So let's go build up power charges and we'll look at the tooltips with the current setup on a 6 link and a 5 link. Note that the 6 link on sweep did not change the tooltip because it's just increased AoE. Alright, so let's go around and generate charges. Alright, I'm getting trolled right now. There it is, 3. There it is. Okay, so I have 72k heavy strike. And I have 27.5k or 27.6k sweep. Now with ground slam, again, this is only level 14, 20. Let's open this. Ice Nova, mirrored, rare. Easy way to build up 7 charges. Again, this is going to require me to actually crit to generate charges. And not even guaranteed because of the 10%. So I should just heavy strike. I should just heavy strike and then look. Let's do that. Let's remake. This can handle blood magic. All you lose in blood magic is your auras, your offensive auras. So it's just a damage nerf, and you lose that chill freeze factor. You still ignite through added fire, or actually no, you don't. I don't use added fire. If I were to 6 link the heavy strike, it would probably be added fire or additional accuracy, whichever you saw fit. All right, so that's 2 charges. This reflect. Come on, we're gonna get there. Oh, we didn't get there. Alright, you know what? We're gonna use sweep. And then I'm gonna just switch to gem. It's just docks, so I kill everything so freaking fast. And that area just clears so fast. Again, if I had the power charge duration, it'd be so much easier. Alright, we have 3. And we have some desync. Alright, we have 5 now. Ground slam. 34.2. So significantly higher, however, it's concentrated. I didn't really notice the stun, which is quite honestly, you know, part of the reason that I died too, because I was looking for stun duration. It just wasn't happening that often. Anyway, very, very powerful character. Some of the most fun I've ever had in Path of Exile. I want to thank you guys for listening for this build review, and I'll continue to do more build guides and things like that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to link them below. I guess we can talk about the skill tree before we go. Why I chose some of the nodes that I did. So Sentinel is a no-brainer. You're using armor evasion. Doesn't matter what you pick up, but the all-res to go over one node was well worth it. The lightning resistance to help combat the minus 60 lightning resistance on lightning coil. Master of the arena, giving you +2 to melee weapon unarmed range. This is like a necessity, I feel, for any kind of like two-handed melee build, because you want that extra range. When you use stuff like knockback, this is going to get you that extra reach advantage and that extra AoE. Acceleration, that's a no-brainer. Mana flows is the only mana wheel that I have, but it's so good because it gives you mana regen, max mana, and that int. Versatility gives you that dex int. the reduced cost right here, reduced cost here, and accuracy, born to fight. Now I did go over this way to go under to cut through, but eventually I respec out of butchery and things like that. But when I was leveling up with pillar, butchery is an insane pillar DPS node because strength is god tier. Then I came over here to whirling barrier to get, I actually skipped this for a while. I didn't get this until merciless because I didn't feel like the defenses were warranted. You don't really start getting crushed until merciless. So 13% block here, some accuracy stave nodes, potency of will. My next 3 points would be going into crit and crit multiplier, or crit multiplier right here, cruelty. And initially, again, I only went out to the stamina node. I did not have these 3 nodes. But I'm setting myself to get these crit multiplier nodes. Crit multiplier is just insane scaling when my crit chances is good. Oh, by the way, my crit chance is 63.5% without additional accuracy or anything like that. And without diamond rings and perfect crit on my necklace. These are just awesome, amazing nodes that work with two-handers. Pure brutality, 80, 30, 30. Then you get 20 crit here, 20 crit here, 50 crit here. Power charge gives you 50 global crit. Athleticism, I mean, these are just normal standard. Get down that endurance charge, discipline and training. These stave nodes are really good because they give you that extra block chance. This is, you know, something that I got towards the end, not something that I would get at the beginning. I would try to beeline these nodes right here. Smashing strikes gives you 40 crit chance plus 20 fizz, 8 fizz, 20 crit, 8 fizz, 20 crit, 12 fizz, and then you have serpent stance gives you 25 crit, 25 crit, and then the kicker right here, serpent stance. This was like a huge damage boost. I think I got like 6 or 7k DPS tooltip when I picked up serpent stance. It was insane. There's a lot of like specking in and specking out. I spec'd into Elementalist a couple times, Celestial Walker, just because the demand of my character either needed int or needed elemental resistances. And I even got this power charge duration for testing. It worked out very, very nicely. However, budget wise, you know, there were other things that I wanted to get. So coming out of duelist, I went up, got Constitution. Then I think I got Sentinel because I wanted the resist. I didn't get the increased duration nodes until Merciless Act 2, so I started putting them in. But I was casting, self-casting Immortal Call at around Merciless Act 2. You can get this life node right here is really good too. An alternative to really scale your damage would be to get Abyssus. And Abyssus is crit multiplier, flat fizz. This is the ultimate damage boost for this build. 100 to 150 global or critical multiplier with weapons. And then the drawback is the 40 to 50% increased physical damage taken. So if you're running this on softcore or rampage, this would be your go-to helmet. Getting the all stats, getting the 40 to 60 fizz damage. This is like insane. Almost like 30% damage boost, you know, and the high end. Definitely would recommend you get one of these and try to stay on the lower end of the increased fizz damage. It's kind of like walking around with vulnerability all the time. It's a bit YOLO. If you have the balls to do it in hardcore, more power to you, but I think there are situations that, you know, lightning coil is going to help combat this effect, but it's still going to, you know, be very, very risky. I think in standard leagues, definitely go for it. Abyssus is what I would do. Okay, so the skill tree going down, these are really good nodes. I got these pretty much early on because they give you life, fizz, and armor. Armor doesn't really matter. This one gives you attack speed and life, and this one gives you flat fizz. And you're doing this travel anyways into Marauder, so it doesn't really matter. These are 3 very, very efficient points to pick up as you're leveling. Both pillar, well, not so much pillar. Yeah, you can get these as pillar because of the life that complements it, and the attack speed scales with pillar. If you want to get better pillar damage, you can also go into berserking easily. But there's a lot of damage nodes that will drastically boost this character. Mainly cruelty, berserking, and then getting that extra power charge duration. Unfortunately, this character died at 89 because I died because I had conductivity and I took a Valstorm call. But you know, the resistance definitely helps when you're over the cap, so that you take less burst from things like that, and you can be a little bit more reckless. Purity of Flesh is just a god tier life wheel that gives you chaos resistance. This is actually solely responsible for all the chaos resistance that I own. But yeah, that's pretty much the overview of the character. You could, you know, opt into getting an endurance charge right here. There's a lot of extra things that you could do, and however you want to play it. I mean, like I said, this is some of the most fun I've ever had, and this was the intended design of my staff, this character. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you like this video, hit the like button, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks again.